Welcome all. This lesson presents the most important resources and tools used in several labor inspectorates to facilitate the work of the labor inspectors and to therefore make the labor inspectorate more efficient. The purpose and usefulness of these tools will be discussed and some modalities and examples will be presented. At the end of this lesson you will be able to identify the key factors in selecting information and communication technologies that can better fit the needs and possibilities of the labor inspectorate. Describe the purposes, modalities, advantages and disadvantages of checklists as a tool for the inspection visits. Examine the aims of the supporting policy documents. Explain the purpose, methods and usefulness of some selected forms and resources for both the inspectors and the stakeholders. What is a tool? Can you give an example? In general, a tool is an instrument or device used to carry out a specific task or function. Tools can be physical objects or software programs designed to facilitate a particular process or achieve a specific outcome. Examples of physical tools include hammers, screwdrivers, wrenches, drills, saws, and pliers. Examples of software tools include word processors, spreadsheet programs, project management software, and data analysis tools. Tools are often designed to simplify or automate complex tasks, improve efficiency and accuracy, and make it easier to achieve specific objectives. In this lesson, we are going to learn about basic equipment needed for labor inspection, information management system for labor inspection manual, checklists and other tools for field labor inspectors, and forms for stakeholders. Let's talk about basic equipment for labor inspection. In order to carry out its functions effectively, a labor inspectorate does not only need an adequate number of staff, with appropriate conditions for hiring, training and service, but said staff must also be given the necessary resources to perform their tasks, and to ensure that their role and the importance of their work is appropriately recognized. In this regard, the Labor Inspection Conventions provide that it is the responsibility of the competent authority to make these necessary arrangements. Under Article 11 of the Labor Inspection Convention, 1947, No. 8.1, and Article 15 of the Labor Inspection, Agriculture, Convention, 1969 No. 129, the competent authority shall make the necessary arrangements to furnish labor inspectors with local offices suitably equipped in accordance with the requirements of the service and accessible to all persons concerned. The transport facilities necessary for the performance of their duties in cases where suitable public facilities do not exist, and the reimbursement of any traveling and incidental expenses which may be necessary for the performance of their duties. In some countries, there are no suitably equipped offices as required for the performance of some of their duties. There are frequent reports of insufficient computer equipment, telephones, tables and chairs and, in the worst cases, deterioration of offices, inadequate space and poor ventilation, including lack of water and electricity. In some countries the shortage of resources is so severe that inspectors are unable to carry out most of their tasks for lack of writing materials. However, the most common trend in many inspectorates is to make available, in every office, computer equipment and modern means of communication such as mobile telephones. The mobile telephone is a very important tool during the inspection visits. It can help in consultations with colleagues and managers of the office, or with the police in case of problems. The establishments, enterprises and workplaces subject to labor inspection are located in an area that may span thousands of square kilometers. This is why the authorities shall furnish labor inspectors with the transport facilities necessary for the performance of their duties, or they may cover the costs of public transport, or pay a travel allowance for work-related travel. There are also other resources that inspectors require for their visits. Staff should also be equipped with personal protection equipment, with instruments for measuring the work environment, such as thermometers, hygrometers, light meters, sound meters and dosimeters. They should also have access to the services of the Industrial Toxicology Laboratory for analyzing samples, measuring the levels of chemical substances in the workplace atmosphere and identifying hazardous substances. The purposes and features of a labor inspection manual are to put into practice the National Labor Inspection Policy, provide coherence and consistency in the approach of labor inspection, ensure standardization of procedures and behaviors, and serve as an open document that can be updated as needed. The manual serves as a guide for labor inspectors to follow when conducting inspections and enforcing labor laws and regulations. It outlines the objectives, scope, and principles of labor inspection and provides guidance on the inspection process, including planning, conducting, and reporting on inspections. The manual also outlines the legal framework for labor inspection and provides guidance on enforcement measures, such as sanctions and penalties. By standardizing procedures and behaviors, the manual ensures that labor inspectors are conducting inspections in a fair and consistent manner, regardless of the location or industry being inspected. Additionally, the manual can be updated as needed to reflect changes in labor laws and regulations, ensuring that labor inspection remains relevant and effective. In Bangladesh, DIFE does not have a labor inspection manual, but it has several standard operating procedures, SOPs, and guidelines that serve some of the purpose of the manual. Some inspectorates have developed reference documents to provide guidance and indicate the responsibilities of most inspection duties, inform about the enforcement policy, the internal operations and procedures, etc. It is named in different ways, such as the Field Operations Manual in USA, Methodological Guide of Labor Inspection of Senegal, Handbook of Labor Inspection Procedures of Costa Rica, or simply Labor Inspection Manual. In general terms, it is an internal document, solely for the benefit of the labor inspectors, and therefore it is a document not released for the public access. Besides, it could include some sensitive issues on the internal policy that the labor inspectorate managers could not want to share with the duty holders. However, some inspectorates have made this document totally or partially public with the political purpose of transparency and to raise awareness on what users could expect from the labor inspectorate. Although the purposes and contents of the Labor Inspector's Manual change from country to country, it is an important tool for both the field inspectors and the labor inspectorate. As a tool for the field inspectors, the manual provides guidance for the day-to-day work of inspectors, when planning inspections, preparing for the inspection visit, conducting the inspection, dealing with incooperative employers, managers, guidelines and criteria for judgment of some situations, instructions on conducting a closing meeting, follow-up on the inspection visits, issuing notices, writing reports and record-keeping, procedures for initiating legal proceedings. As a tool for the labor inspectorate, the manual is the way in which the institution puts in practice the political statements and guidelines included in the National Labor Inspection Policy. The manual normally details the operations of the inspectors on the basis of the explicit or implicit policy guidelines. The manual also provides a standardization of procedures in all offices for a common intervention approach, ensuring the coherence and consistency of the approach, similar cases treated in similar ways. It also provides a standardization of inspectors' behaviors against which the action of inspectors can be evaluated and judged, ensuring their accountability. It is also an indispensable reference for training new inspectors. In general, the manual is an open document and is almost always under continuous update. It is improved, adapted and updated according to new labor legislation, new policies and strategies of the Ministry of Labor, and its suitable functioning. The manual, in addition to including procedures for inspection visits, can be accompanied by other relevant documents for the inspectors. Code of Conduct of Inspectors, National Labor Inspection, Enforcement, Policy, Guidelines on Policy and Strategic Issues, checklists, protocols or other tools or documents that could be used by the inspectors, for example, report templates, requests to the judge, etc. Circulars with criteria for making decisions in specific cases. An example of these criteria to make decisions is the enforcement management model. Checklists are useful tools for labor inspectors to ensure that they cover all relevant aspects during an inspection. There are different types of checklists that can be used depending on the purpose of the inspection and the context. Thematic checklists are focused on a specific theme or topic, such as occupational health and safety, child labor, or working hours. These checklists allow inspectors to ensure that all relevant aspects related to the theme are covered during the inspection. Sector-wise checklists are focused on a particular sector, such as construction, agriculture, or manufacturing. These checklists are useful to ensure that the specific risks and hazards associated with the sector are addressed during the inspection. Checklists can also be designed for specific types of establishments, such as factories, offices, or hotels. These checklists take into account the particular risks and hazards associated with the establishment and allow inspectors to tailor their inspections accordingly. Also, checklists are designed for specific areas of concern, such as fire safety or hazardous materials. These checklists are useful to ensure that all relevant aspects related to the specific concern are covered during the inspection. In general, the purpose of checklists is to provide a standardized approach to inspections, ensuring that all relevant aspects are covered and that there is consistency in the approach taken by inspectors. Checklists can also be used as a training tool for new inspectors, helping them to learn the relevant aspects that need to be addressed during an inspection. An inspection checklist typically includes a heading with a title and logos, followed by a serial number. There is usually a box for identification of the enterprise or area being inspected, as well as a section for the date of inspection. The checklist will include a list of specific questions or items to be checked, with reference to the relevant legislative or regulatory requirements. Typically, each question will be accompanied by a 2 or 3 option checkbox, allowing the inspector to indicate whether the requirement has been met or not, or whether there are some issues that require further investigation. In addition, the checklist may include a column for the inspector to provide remarks or comments on each item, as well as a section for verifiers, such as observations, document reviews, interviews with staff or managers, etc. The checklist may also include a box for requesting specific corrective actions to be taken, if necessary, and may provide guidance notes or instructions for completing the checklist and interpreting the requirements. There are both advantages and disadvantages of using checklists for inspections. Major advantages are: it acts as a reminder of the key points for the inspection visits. This provides standardization and consistency of the inspection visits. Monitoring of the compliance becomes easier when checklists are used. Collection of homogeneous information are possible using checklists. It helps collecting information in an ordered and structured way. As it shows advantages, it may have some disadvantage too. 1. Inspectors may feel overwhelmed by a checklist, as they have many items to check, especially in the case of a long checklist. 2. The checklist could be too generic, not suitable for a specific types of enterprise. 3. Checklists often make inspection too mechanic and rigid. 4. Checklists often do not capture individual characteristics of enterprises' management attitudes, working cultures and environments. 5. Inspectors relying excessively on checklists do not develop investigation skills, as they simply fill in the checklists. Other tools for labor inspectors include templates for the preparation of inspection reports, which can ensure that all relevant information is captured in a structured and consistent manner. Templates for issuing improvement notices or prohibition notices can help ensure that these important documents contain all the necessary information and are formatted correctly. A guide to initiating legal proceedings can help inspectors navigate the complex legal process of prosecuting violators of labor laws. Standard letters for communication with employers, complainants, courts, and other stakeholders can help ensure that communication is clear, professional, and effective. The Labor Inspectorate may have designed forms for stakeholders. These should preferably be electronic, specific software, sheets, etc. Should provide evidence of compliance. Should record briefly and clearly all the required information, and should include instructions for the collection and recording of the data. Inspectorates can make these forms available on websites. And these can be useful not only for employers but also for inspectors. As they can also, the Labor Inspectorate may have designed forms for stakeholders. These should preferably be electronic, specific software, sheets, etc. Should provide evidence of compliance. Should record briefly and clearly all the required information, and should include instructions for the collection and recording of the data. Inspectorates can make these forms available on websites. And these can be useful not only for employers but also for inspectors, as they can also have access at any time. Use of such templates ensure transparency of procedures. Facilitate the communication of the stakeholders with the inspectorate. Complaint form can be used for submitting objection against compliance. There may be forms for compulsory or required notifications, apprenticeship, people with disabilities. Thank you for patience listening. If you have any question or need clarification, please feel free to contact me.